All right, we are live. Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started with our memberships masterclass. A very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us this morning from near and from afar. We've got people from all around Australia and other parts of the world as well, so a warm welcome to you. We thank you for making an investment of your time to attend this 2.5-hour membership session. We hope you enjoy the masterclass and you learn a lot from it. We've certainly had fun putting it together. We've built all of it ground up, and we believe we'll be presenting to you some exciting content and some compelling demos. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. There's a few people who couldn't join, and so we're going to make these recordings available to them after this session. But first of all, acknowledgement to country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the country on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and recognize their continuing connection to land, waters, and culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So, just a quick disclaimer around the information and resources provided in this masterclass are for educational and information purposes only. Please consider your context and circumstances when taking these recommendations from us. So let me introduce you to your team today. I'm Shrav Malkani, a Salesforce solution specialist who helps organizations digitally transform through innovative uses of technology, with a special focus on the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. We've got Taylor Folt. She's a functional consultant and a certified marketing automation specialist. She also sets up event management systems for a lot of our customers. Mo wanted to be introduced as an all-around good guy, which he is, but he's also a subscription systems and a membership specialist and a Salesforce automation genius. And finally, Saran, who is a functional consultant, and he helps organizations navigate the digital era with Salesforce technology. So with those introductions being in place, let's just take you through what the structure of today's membership masterclass is about. In the first track, I'll talk to you about the overall framework for how membership organizations need to navigate themselves through some pretty challenging times that we're all going through at the moment. The second track is going to be around how do we attract these members through the life cycle. The first part is let's attract them. So how do we run meaningful and effective campaigns? And Taylor's going to take us through that. The third part is once we've attracted some people, how do we sign them on to and get them to be members and make payments towards that? So Mo's going to take us through the revenue management tracks of that. Taylor comes back to talk to us about how we inform, educate, and keep people engaged through events and education programs. And finally, Saran's going to talk to us about how we can make advocates out of these members by bringing them to a self-service community, which is a safe space for them to kind of operate in and sign on and get access to lots of useful information. So let's now get started with that sort of hygiene factors and introductions being in place. I'm hoping everyone can sort of hear us reasonably well. There's going to be some time for questions and answers, even though there's plenty of content after each one of the tracks. You'll find in your Zoom sort of video conference that we have a chat window and a Q&A window. Please post all of your questions to the Q&A section. And if you want to chat amongst each other or with us, then post them in the chat. But all questions should be posted in the chat window. We do have moderators who are going to be looking through the chat and the Q&A. We'll try and answer many of these questions online, and we will also take live answering of some of these questions as we go along. So please go right ahead and post your questions or have a conversation in the chat window as well. For those of you who don't know who Data Colada is, just a quick introduction to us. We are a purpose-driven professional services and products organization that delivers and builds solutions on Salesforce. We believe in doing well by doing good, and our staff focus on the triple bottom line: people, profit, and planet. We work with customers in healthcare, education, not-for-profit, and the government sectors. And many of the organizations that we work with are membership organizations. And hence we bring to you today this masterclass because we've had lots of experience working with membership organizations. We support Pledge 1%, and we donate at least 1%, typically more than 5% of our time, product, and profits to communities that we work in. So let's talk about the purpose of this masterclass and why we are running it today. We've spoken with and surveyed a lot of membership organizations. And in essence, what we want to talk about today is that in working with many of these membership organizations, there are some things that we find are common. We've got a process and framework that we've kind of distilled in working with these membership organizations. And we'll showcase to you some great examples of how things come together, not just what to do, but how to do things through a mix of insights, but also some good quality demos. So why do we want to build actually on Salesforce? Why not use, there's plenty of technologies available there. Our belief is that Salesforce offers you sales, service, marketing, communities, analytics, commerce, applications, and integration, all of those in a single platform. And what we found in working with many organizations is when you remove the number of moving parts to take away the high costs of integration and particularly real-time synchronization of data across all of your channels, you tend to take away many of the risks that exist. Consumers, members today want real-time personalization and content offered to them based on transactions and interactions that they have through every micro interaction that might happen. And with Salesforce in place, you take away many of those integrations and you reduce the risk and you get a far more predictable outcome by removing the moving parts. And hence we believe Salesforce is the place to kind of start. So in working with membership organizations, they tell us that there are 3 significant challenges that they face today. So let's reveal to you what those challenges are. The first one is difficulty in communicating value and benefits. How do we communicate our benefits to members to get them attracted in the first place, for them to kind of join us? We are big believers in the freemium model, where we say that you offer your lowest tier of membership as a free model to allow people to sign on to your membership organization, offer them the benefits, and then nurture them through the life cycle to get them to become paid members and to grow their membership base. Now, all of you might have a slightly different mandate and focus on where that membership sits, but in offering clear benefits to them is a key thing that is a challenge with many membership organizations. The second challenge that many organizations face is that there's too much administration with too few staff and too little time. Through Salesforce and good effective automation, you can keep your organizations lean and yet offer scale to a large number of members quite easily. And again, we will take you through demonstrations and insights and show you how each of these challenges can be met. And the third challenge that people sort of find is that there are diverse members in the community that you've got, and it's hard to segment all of these members into smaller sub-segments so you can target them effectively to offer real content and engagement for each of these different member bases that you've actually got. And again, our endeavor is today to kind of take you through and show you how best to service all of these different type of resolve each of these challenges in effective ways. So moving on to the laws of member communities, and this is a bit like the laws of rugby. They're not rules, they're not rigid, but we believe that if you effectively use these as guidelines, as scaffolding, when you're thinking about your membership base, that you follow these as guides to kind of keep you down the path of every decision you take needs to be grounded in a specific set of laws. And these are the laws of member communities. So the first one is no connections, no community. People are tribal, they want to connect with like-minded people. And it's not just you as an organization, a professional organization or a member organization that they want to connect with. They also want to connect with other members, like-minded people within that community. So you have to enable them to connect with each other as well. It's not just a connection with you. The second being personalization matters, where you have to match and target the content and everything that you do with each and every one of those members through personalization. You need to recognize who they are, you need to understand them, you need to surface their interests, and the more you target content to them based on their interests, the more engaged your members are going to be. The third one might not be that obvious, but speed thrills, friction kills. And this suggests that you have to make it easy for your members to learn, to educate, to onboard, to self-service, to network with others, to connect with others, to renew their memberships, to refer others to your organization, that at every step of the life cycle, there needs to be very little or zero friction for them to be able to execute that business process. It's got to be fast and it's got to be low friction. So we, again, I come back to the freemium model. We tend to sort of believe that the freemium model is a good one to onboard the lowest tier of your membership community, where you demonstrate value and you nurture people through that. The next one around being content is still king. Good content matters, and the more engaged members you have, the more relevant quality content you will get. And the more relevant quality content you've got, the more members you'll get. So this is all about members being able to create content themselves and being able to broadcast that content. And clearly you can moderate that content, but you have to allow your members to be able to create content too. And finally, that omni-channel, which is making all of your services available through every channel, particularly digital channels during these COVID times where there's physical distancing, but every digital channel is important, that every one of your services is made available through them. The self-service option in specific is kind of really important during these times where people need to be physically distanced. They want to be able to access services at any given point in time through the day. So you've got to make it available for all of your services to be available to them through the self-service channel. So let's talk about how we bring and attract members in the first instance. So talk about the membership life cycle and what it actually means. So your membership life cycle, if you think about it, is like your favorite cafeteria or your bakery that you might go to. At first, you have an attractive shop window where you've got all your products on display in an attractive shop window. So you've got to attract your members. Once those members are attracted, they might sort of wander in. They'll be engaged with some personalization. So your favorite cafeteria will greet you by name. They'll remember your coffee that you normally like to get. They might remember your breakfast that you like to kind of get with that coffee as well. And in addition, they might even sort of introduce you to others in the cafeteria as well to kind of keep you engaged. So they might say, Sally, hi, meet Harry. And that might be the inspiration for Harry meets Sally. Once you're engaged and you kind of start that conversation, they then grow you as advocates and as supporters of that cafeteria. So then you kind of go there each day, every morning, you have conversations with other people, you'll tell other people how good this cafe is. So the ability for you to continue to attract, engage, and grow is a cycle. And your members will constantly sort of move between these they don't always stay in the growth phase. They might move to the attraction phase. They might move to the engagement phase. They kind of move between these all the time. But you've got to kind of try to keep them in that growth phase where they're constantly becoming advocates of you. And when they do become advocates, you've got to take advantage of them and have them spread the word and attract other people to it as well. Again, we'll showcase this through some really compelling demos. So you might say, well, you know, that's a lot of talk. How do you do this? Show me the money. So we will talk about an organization called Mavens, acronym for Magician and Wizards Association of Australia and New Zealand. And what Mavens does is promote the art of magic in Australia and New Zealand. They welcome international magicians and wizards into ANZ, and they nurture young talent. They offer education, they offer grants and scholarship, and they run magic shows. So they have 3 tiers of membership. The lowest tier is a novice member, which is completely free. There's some good benefits that come with that as well. It's a great magnet to attract people into Mavens. They then offer a mastery membership, which costs $500. And these are for established magicians who know the art of magic and who can run a performance. And then once you're creating new magic tricks, you want performances that have run full audiences, you're tutoring other magicians, you move to an awakened membership, and that has an additional cost. So what Mavens does is promote the art of magic, and they want to grow their membership base. So we will use this example through each of the tracks that we've got today and build and grow through some compelling demonstrations of how Mavens builds its membership. So let's kind of take you through what this sort of looks like. I'm just going to switch over to an email that I just received earlier this morning, and presumably you can see that I received this email. Sue Ann. Sue Ann is a magician. She is a novice member. And what you will see is that she's received an email at 8 o'clock this morning, 48 minutes ago, saying, welcome to Mavens, Sue Ann. And we are enchanted to welcome you. Please update your preferences. So the first thing that we want to do in that membership lifecycle is attract them to the organization. And what better way to attract them is to showcase to them the benefits that we offer, but also understand what their preferences are so we can target them with personalized content. So what Sue Ann does is she says, I'm going to update my preferences. So that's a campaign that's been run, and Taylor will take you through running effective campaigns. But if I click on that email, it takes me into what we call a preference center. I can update details about my profile, my email address, my numbers, other details can be surfaced, and my contact preferences. I like to receive things on email, not through snail mail or SMS that much. I can save some of these changes, and it updates this into my CRM system, into Salesforce, pretty much in real time. I can go to my subscriptions and say, what are my preferences? I'd like to receive newsletters on email. I do like events. I'm not that keen on the library. Yes, I might want to apply for a scholarship because during these times of COVID, I'm in need of some funds and need some support. And really, I want to learn about magic performance and audio and visual because I like to combine the art of performance and particularly digital performance and attract people. So I want to receive emails about those things, and those are my preferences. So I save all of those changes, and you can see that if I go into my system again, Sue Ann, I'm just going to refresh that. You'll notice that those preferences for Sue Ann are updated in real time. Her mobile is there, her email details are there. She requested that she receive newsletters, events, and scholarship updates, the other ones, and through email. And those are the ones that she wants to learn about. And she wants to learn about magic events, performance, and audiovisual. This allows you to take these preferences that Sue Ann has set up And she can change them at any given point in time, but you can tailor content to Sue-Ann, recognizing every one of those preferences, not just how she wants to be contacted, but what she wants to be contacted about. So moving on to other parts of this, I then move to Sue-Ann. She goes into her community. And as she moves into the community, she wants to see what are my benefits that I want to see. So I can go to, she sees that as a member, as a novice member, she has many benefits, and those benefits are very, very clear to her in a nice, neatly laid out way, a bit like a good price list. If she goes to her homepage, we can see that she's greeted with that, and she can also see what entitlements she has and what she's used at any given point in time of all of the benefits. So for instance, she has 3 events that she can use, but she's utilized some of those things. So again, in that sense of attracting her and keeping her in that community, she has access to her own information at any given point in time. So let's go back to presentation and sorry. Are those slides presenting okay? Yeah. Apologies. Sorry.
Try to escape and then press it.
Apologies. Just one moment while the slides refresh. Yeah, we're just switching over to one of the others to present the slide pack. Okay, so let's move to the framework. Next one, please, Taylor. Okay, so I'll go back a bit. So let's look at this framework for how people actually start to actively join a member community. So the first step is that we have to inform and educate members about what our offer is. And typically people say, well, what are the behaviors that we want members to demonstrate? And what are the metrics that we need to measure at any given stage of their attraction, engagement, and growth life cycle? So initially, when we're informing and educating members, we want to know how many articles they read, how many logins they've had, how many feedback items come through as a part of engaging with our community. The second step, next slide, thanks, is that we consult with them. And this is steeped in the community engagement framework, that we actively consult with them. The behaviors that we want to see from them is that they support us, they support other members, and they vote on articles. And what we want to see in terms of measuring metrics at that time is that we see what's the frequency of access, how long they remain with us, and the quality of comments that they provide back to us. The next step in that is that they start to create content and then network with other members. And what we're measuring is that we see how many posts they put, what their connectedness is, that how many people they're connected with, that they have followers themselves, they're influencers, and how much time they spend on each page. And finally, we look to see that they are now becoming advocates and influencers, and they're starting to promote our offers. They're starting to get referrals. They're renewing their membership and keeping it going. And once they do all of that, the last step of that is that they can actually partner with us, where they can co-design, co-sell, and co-fund initiatives. And so we then give them access to, opportunities that we can run together. They will forward our messages to other people, and they'll link to other third-party sites as well. So this framework is pretty consistent across all industries, all organizations, and we know that it sort of works with every membership or professional association. Finally, the question that people often ask, and this is a bit like, constructing a club sandwich. How do we build the solution on Salesforce? And we say a bit like picking your foundation layer, which is your bread, whether it's wholemeal, rye, or sourdough. You pick your sales or service cloud, which is core to your underlying business. Then based on your industry vertical, you might pick the not-for-profit success pack. You pick an education cloud, health cloud, or a financial services cloud that overlays this. That's a bit like adding your protein to your club sandwich, which is, you pick your tofu, salami, ham, or salmon. The next layer on top of that is that you pick your marketing automation suite, you pick community cloud, you pick analytics, you pick commerce, things that you might progressively add on or have a need for. That's picking your vegetables. Make sure you put in that beetroot as well. And finally, you sort of add your spice and garnish, which is all of the things that you need to pick from your app exchange stack, your subscription, your payment processors, your document generators, and a whole range of other products that help you sign members on. Now, we'll show you every one of the elements of this stack as a part of the demonstrations today. So I'd like to now hand you over to